Hi. Today I want to talk to you about one of the hardest parts of a voiceover job or just acting as a whole, because there's one thing about this job that has really nothing to do with skill and has more to do with just the nature of this job. And this is instability. When I first got into voiceover and acting as a whole, I just kept on expecting to finally get to stability. I would just think, surely there's stability somewhere in here. Maybe I don't have it because I'm just not established enough yet. Maybe I just need to get more clients. And then stability will come from somewhere. Then I can finally be sure that I will always have work and no problem. And now I am 7+ years into this, and I feel like I can tell you, honestly tell you, that stability is just not a part of your contract if you have acting as a job. Because here's the thing, even if you are very successful or are doing really well, there's nothing to tell you that it will continue like that. If you're doing really well and you're getting a lot of gigs and you start to feel like, oh, I have stability now because look at all this work that's coming my way, I have finally gotten to stability. Not really. Not really. You might be operating under a false sense of security. And so I just want to talk about it. I want to talk about how I deal with that feeling, because that feeling that I have no stability, like that anxiety that comes from this. If you do this as a job, acting as a job, it'll never go away. It's just always following you around. This is gonna be one of these, all of my videos are like real videos, and I'm telling you like my perspective of things, but it's gonna be one of these I gotta get real with you videos, because I wish that I could tell you that if you just do this one thing, then you will have stability in this work. Or if you just do this one thing or think this one way, then this anxiety that you feel is gonna go away. That's just not something I can tell you, because it's not gonna go away. I used to think that if I just become more established, it's gonna go away because I will have more clients. I will have returning clients, and that's gonna guarantee that I will have work. Or if I work harder, or if I become more successful, then I will finally get to stability. And it just doesn't work that way. That anxiety about your work, and when's the next gig gonna come and how much is it gonna pay, it's never gonna go away. I can tell you right now, as somebody who's 7+ years into this, it hasn't gone away yet. That's all I can tell you. And so what's left? If it's not gonna go away, what can you do? Do you just have to put up with it? Be uncomfortable all the time? Because, I get it. I am an earth side. I have so much earth influence, and one of the things that's most important for somebody that has a lot of earth influence is security. You need to have stability somewhere, somehow, and especially in your work. So doing something like acting is kind of like an insane job choice for people with a lot of earth influence. So I get it. We are always searching for that financial security, but you're not going to have it here. So what can you do? Just my personal experience, the only thing you can really do about this is just you have to manage your own emotional state, which I don't know if you might be someone that watches my other channel too. I've been talking a lot about that, just managing your emotional state and what does that mean and how to do that? It's just the only thing that's left to do. You have to find some way to manage your own anxiety. Honestly, the way that I do it is it's all the thoughts in your head at the end of the day. Because, getting a gig or just having work in general, that, like, from my perspective, is just an uncontrollable condition. So this is a good thing for me to talk about, because right now, actually, as I am filming this video, I am again in that spot where you will get to again and again and again as an actor, where it's kind of like this void, like you live in a void, and sometimes some kind of gig will appear in that void, and then you will have work. It's kind of like being any freelancer. You are unemployed until you are employed, and afterwards you are unemployed again. And this is the rhythm of your life with this job. So right now I am in that space. I have, like, for the time being, finished all of my voiceover work. I don't have anything going on right now. It's kind of like I'm just sitting here like, next. like, oh, who is gonna show up next? What am I gonna do next? I don't know. So I'm in this void place again. And it's a difficult place to be, because this is where this anxiety will now start building. Like, the more time goes by and there's nothing coming from anywhere that I could see, the more it has the potential to build your anxiety about it. So what would I do now? Because my emotional state is important to me. I don't want to be constantly feeling worried or anxious in my life. And unfortunately, I do a job that has this built into it, where it's very easy to fall into these feelings. So what I do is I try to find some different way of thinking about the current circumstances. And this might be easier or harder for you to do, depending on who you are and where you are in your acting career. I have to remind myself of things that I know to be true. Like, for example, work in this job tends to come out of nowhere. You will have no idea who is the next person that is gonna approach you, what the gig is going to be about. When is it coming? How much is it paying? No idea. Where it's going to come from? No idea. It comes at a completely unexpected time. Like, I will have no way to know. Like, even as I'm filming this video right now, there could be a notification right now that comes in and is like, it's my next gig. I won't know, or it'll be in a week. Maybe it'll be in a month. That does happen sometimes. So I won't know. So I just have to, like, calm myself down, just pull myself back and be like, I won't know anyway. And every time it does come from somewhere, it'll be some random ass time that it'll reach me. Then I also think about the fact that, well, my experience has been so far, just in my own work, is that this gig, whatever it is, it will come from somewhere, because it always does. Like, that is a helpful belief that I have. Thing that I often think, it always comes eventually from somewhere. Then I will also think about the fact that I have been doing this for a while. So there are people who know of me. If they had something to offer, they would come to me. So I'm just like, I'm not out here all by myself anymore, because I've been doing this for a while. If you're completely new, that's not a thought that's going to be helpful to you, because you don't know anybody. And I know what that's like. And here's another perspective shift you can do. Rather than thinking and like panicking about where your next gig is going to come from, you can just take this moment and be like, you know what? I appear to be on vacation right now. It's random vacation that just has come out of nowhere. And this job has a lot of such vacations. You can actually frame it that way. It's not even a void, it's a vacation. Suddenly I have so much time for whatever else I might want to do. People I might want to talk to or visit or anything that I might want to do in my life. Because I am on vacation right now until my next gig. That one I find extremely helpful, actually. And then, like, what else can you do? Yes, you can do auditions. You can do cold emailing even if you want to, but these, like, I don't find them to be that effective because, like, I've done auditions before when I'm on vacation, and I cannot guarantee that I will get any of them. So it's just like something to do that'll make me feel like I am doing something, but it will not necessarily change any of the circumstances. So I still have to deal with the anxiety in my own head and not ask anything or anybody else to help me with it. And really, you can do this work, this emotional work, you can do this yourself. And if you ask me, you're supposed to do it yourself. Actually, this is one of the reasons I love this work, is that doing this emotional regulation and like learning about it and getting better at it for myself is just important to me. And this is the perfect job for this, because it's like the conditions outside, external conditions, are just constantly challenging me. It's just constantly like, I cannot control any of these things. I cannot say when my next gig is gonna come, or from where, or from whom. So the only thing I have left to do is to manage my emotional state. If I can't make something appear, some gig appear right now, because I can't control conditions, then the only thing that's left for me to do right now is either I can feel better or I can feel worse. And in either case, I'm not gonna have a gig right at this moment. I might as well feel better. I might as well find something to do to make myself feel better, or something to think to make myself feel better. So I think things like, I am on vacation right now. You know, there's a lot of people that can't say this about their work. They have 9-to-5s and all that, but I don't have that. So it's kind of a freedom if you approach it that way. Of course, in order to deal with this feeling, I find you have to be good with your money. You have to think that I don't know where more money is going to come from, or when, or how much it's going to be. So maybe I don't spend the thing that I just earned from my last job immediately on something. And I'm not saying that you cannot get nice things for yourself, or I have done that for myself, but at least my first thought is like, have I taken care of everything else I need to take care of? Because there are actually things I need to take care of before I start getting myself nice things, you know? You just, I feel like, have to hold on to the money that you earn, maybe a little bit more than other people do. But what this also does, it means that if you are on vacation, you don't have to worry so much. Because if you have saved up, you have not spent everything immediately, you don't have to worry so much, because you will be like, well, at least I know if I don't get a gig for the next few weeks, or maybe even a month, I'm gonna be okay for that time period. So that actually helps you lower that feeling of anxiety. And you have to think these things pretty often in order for them to be effective, in order for them to become actual beliefs in your head. So, you know what's interesting? Just as I'm filming this video, didn't I just say I might get a notification about something? Well, there's just a voiceover site that I just got a notification that there's an opportunity, that somebody's waiting for a quote. And again, it came out of nowhere. And of course, that's not to say that I will get this or I will actually do this, but there's an opportunity. And it came out of nowhere at a completely random time. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. This could be my next job. I have no idea currently. And you have to get real with yourself. You have to tell yourself it's okay. It's okay that this job has instability built into it, anxiety built into it. And you gotta manage your own levels of anxiety, because that's really the only thing you can do. I'm thinking about what my next gig might be, and I'm thinking about how people like reach out to me. And here's the thing, especially for like potential clients, for some reason clients sometimes assume that voice actors are extremely busy. I would say that even if it looks like a voice actor is extremely busy, most voiceover jobs go extremely quickly. You shouldn't ever be like, I cannot reach out to this person because it looks like they're so busy, they're doing so many things. Doesn't matter if this person is doing 10 different projects. You have no idea the duration of these projects. They might be completed in a few days. And you know, to be honest, most voice actors would actually love to have a client like lined up, ready to work with them, because we never know where the next job is going to come from. To all the clients, potential clients out there, don't feel like us voice actors, and me included, by the way, are busy just because it seems like we are, especially online. I have had this before where clients have told me, I wanted to reach out to you with something, but it just seemed like you were so busy. I'm just thinking, where did you get that from? I think you're just making that stuff up in your head because I'm not busy. I am on vacation. That's currently where I am. And in terms of what I do, like the genres and everything, I offer Estonian voiceover and I offer English voiceover, just accented English voiceover. You can hear my accent like right now. So that's what you would get with English. And in terms of genres, honestly, I would be willing to check out almost anything. I don't really do audiobooks right now, I will say that much. And what I also don't do is extremely spicy, you know what I mean? Extremely spicy stuff, like the not safe for work stuff. And I always find with this label, it's so broad, so I need to be specific. I do things like swearing and like if there's some kind of violence a little bit involved, because like I've had characters before where they do swear sometimes, or there's like a death scene in a game or something, so that's totally fine with me. And I've also done things where the character just has a suggestive tone, or it's like a seductive or like a flirty voiceover. This is also something I'm okay with. But I don't do the whole shebang, you know? I would say all the words of like what I mean, but we are on YouTube and YouTube doesn't like that. So you understand what I mean. It's interesting because in the past week I've had to decline 2 different people who were asking exactly for the whole shebang. So I had to be like, unfortunately, I have to pass on this opportunity. And so now, currently, I'm just here thinking about what might be my next gig, because I don't know. There's also something else that I've actually been pondering about, because I just recently made like 2 videos about it, which is that like doing your own due diligence and making sure that the clients are who they say they are. And I'm gonna link these 2 videos here because I really think you should check them out. But I've just been thinking about it because, you know, I talked about this whole catfish thing, how you need to become like the host of that TV show, Catfish. You need to go and check all of these details about all of these potential clients that you might have in order to determine, is this even legitimate? Is this a real person? Like, who is this person? I have been thinking about it, and I've been thinking about my Code Catfish. That's how I call it. Like, every time somebody new gets in touch with me, I have to execute Code Catfish, because I need to find out whether this is a real person and actually wants to do like legitimate business together. And so I've been just thinking about like what like some of the things that like are hardest about this, because I would say it's not that hard to verify somebody's identity if they do give you information. I love the people who give me all the information up front, because then the only thing I have to do is just, I have to take the information, look it up, and be like, can I get a check mark for this? Like, you said that you are a producer at this specific company. So I look up the company, I see your name, I see that you are a producer, and I just go, ding, check mark. Doesn't even take more than 10 minutes. But I would have to tell you that most people, unfortunately, do not do anything close to that. If you're not working with a professional client who has worked with voice actors before, it's almost completely certain that they are just not going to do it this way. They're not going to give you this information up front. And so I've been just thinking about, like, what is the hardest thing about Code Catfish? I would say there are two things. It is, first of all, it is getting people out of generalities into specifics. The second thing is wondering, what kind of brain have I just met in this interaction? And I will explain what I mean. So getting people out of generalities into specifics. I find that it seems like for a lot of people, they have not really come face to face with like extreme directness. Like like personally, I'm just a very straightforward person. So if a client approaches me and they don't tell me anything about themselves, like they don't give me any information up front, I know that I have to now start digging, because there's nothing here for me, and I'm just not gonna say yes until I can confirm legitimacy. So now I have to start asking questions, and my questions tend to be like very pointed, like very specific. It'll be like, do you work at a company of some sort? Like, what is the name of this company? Is there somewhere that I could check out this company? Do you have a website? Things like that. And you know, I try very hard to be like concise and to like not overwhelm people with like a lot of questions. I understand that this process, Code Catfish, is a little bit invasive by nature, because I have to go and look at what you have been doing if you want to work with me, because I have to confirm legitimacy. Like every time I do this, I start asking people these questions, I just feel like it's like I'm going into somebody's private space, and I'm just feeling like, sorry, I'm just here to check some things, I'll be gone in a minute. I just feel like that. I try not to make people uncomfortable, because it's just the nature of this process is that it's a little bit invasive. I try to do it as quickly as I possibly can. Like, I don't linger on, like, I don't try to see, like, what are these people doing in their spare time, or nothing like that. I'm just trying to see legitimacy. Are you who you say you are? And also, like, are you going to present some kind of problems to me later down the road? Like for example, I wouldn't want to be working with a racist. That's one example. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for, is this a decent person, and are they who they say they are? And as soon as I get my confirmation, I just leave, you know? But I find that it's so difficult to get this information out of people, because even though I am straightforward and I think that I'm asking like very pointed questions, there are some people who like almost have a talent for not answering. They will be answering questions that I didn't even ask. That's one example. Or they will ignore most of my questions. Or they will think that they maybe have been specific, but they haven't been specific to the point that I need them to be specific. So it's like, I actually had an instance of this like just a little while ago, where somebody was wanting to work with me, and so they would give me answers, but it was kind of like I would ask, like, what's your profession? What do you do? Who are you? And they would answer me, but they would just be like, I'm basically a casting director, And I worked with a lot of companies. So you see, this is exactly the kind of generalities that I'm talking about. And this is so difficult for me because I cannot really write down in my, voiceover documents that I'm working with basically a casting director who works with a lot of companies. I need it in specifics. I need to know for sure, yes, you are a casting director and you work with this company. It's just very difficult to get people to that place for some reason. I think it's because I'm not very good at communication. So even if I think I'm being clear, maybe I am just not being clear enough. Even if people give me something like I'm basically whatever, it's not like I go, this is a scammer. I assume goodwill. I assume that they want to answer me, but it's just basically anything is not good enough. And also that wording immediately stands out to me because I'm like, you are basically something? Because I personally would never introduce myself like that. I would not be like, I'm basically a voice actor. I would just be like, I'm a voice actor. If I am a voice actor by profession, which I am. If somebody says I'm basically this or that, then there is a part of my brain that wonders, why this word choice? Why didn't they say, I am a casting director? Again, I would not accuse them of not actually being a casting director, but I would wonder about it a little bit. I would be like, so you are not a casting director by profession, but maybe you're just acting as one. Which again doesn't mean scammer. You could be acting as a casting director for your friends who make indie games or something. So you are not a casting director by profession, but maybe you're trying to get there or something like that. I don't see anything wrong with that. But if people don't admit that up front and they just go, I'm basically something, it seems a little bit shady. And that just invites more questioning from me. And then it just feels so bad to me, to do this type of questioning. But I'm like, I can't help it because I cannot type in this person's first name and basically a casting director and then find if that is actually true or not. It's not good enough for proof that you are who you say you are. So it just invites more questioning. So I'm very much I ask very direct, pointed questions, and then I expect very direct, pointed answers to these things as well. But very often I don't get that. And I think it's just because I'm not good at communication. I'm not good at figuring out how I can get there. That's one of the things. And the other thing is just, I'm wondering what kind of brain have I just met? Because this actually ties into this first thing. I have found that when I start asking people these questions, I try to make my questions really clear, put them very clearly. I put them as just bullet points for people to answer. So it's clear, you can see them, here they are, and then just answer one after the other. But a lot of people, their brain, that's just what I think, their brain just doesn't process things in that way. That's how my brain processes things. You could put questions to me in bullet points and I would go over each one and I would just answer. And I would try to answer exactly what is being asked. I am just very detail oriented. So you could even give me a wall of text and hide 10 different questions in there somewhere. And my brain would pick all of these out. And I would answer all of them. And I would try to answer exactly what's being asked. And then I would double check that I have, in fact, answered everything. I know that this is not the case for a lot of people because I have people like this around me now, and I have had them around me in the past too, where their brain processes things differently. So with them, it's if you want information out of them, you have to put whatever questions that you have at the end of your wall of text, because otherwise their brain will just filter these things out. They just literally will not see the questions. And with some people, it's even like you cannot give them more than one question at a time, because if you do that, let's say you give them 5 questions, their brain will pick out one and then fixate on it. And then that's the thing that they will respond to about. And then someone like me is like, well, I asked you 5 different things, but you only talk about this one thing. And then I have to remember that it is most likely a brain difference. So I always have to ask myself, when this happens, I have to ask myself, are they being evasive on purpose with me right now? Or is this just a different brain that just got overwhelmed? Like even with like 3 questions, got overwhelmed. And is now just fixating on this like one thing, because it does happen. Whenever this happens, I don't automatically assume scammer or a person trying to piss me off or something. That's not grounds for me to go, no, I'm not going to work with this person. That's grounds for me to go, okay, I see this, and now I'm going to try again. So it's just going to prompt more questions, because I still don't have the answers. These are 2 difficult things about Code Catfish that I have been thinking about. It just happened recently where I had to execute Code Catfish again. And no new person is exempt from that, because I have to do it, because honestly there just are not enough real people out there, and I have just dealt with scammers too much. At this point, I just cannot trust blindly. So every time I have to do Code Catfish, just me as a voice actor, I'm really rooting for these people, for these potential clients. I'm really rooting for them, because I'm like, I need the work too, I need the money too. So I'm really hoping that you come out of this process clear. But I still gotta be like a detective. And I still gotta execute Code Catfish. I've been yapping for a really long time now, but these are basically my thoughts on how to deal with that anxiety from this job, and also more thoughts on Code Catfish. So I hope that you got something out of this, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.